Welcome, Jeannie, my long lost sister, and back to share her new human design variables.
Yes.
And we wanted to get on and share a reading that she's going to start. When she did the last one, the Ashley special, the one with human design, her intro to her magic. Now we're doing kind of, I call it a 2.0 Genie magic. And then we're going to do an interview on the podcast, and we're going to kind of go more in detail to this. But I wanted to have this as an example for everyone to see. And if you haven't listened to the one prior to this with the regular human design, where she went into human design, my astrology, my why am I drawing a blank? Gene
It's
keys,
okay. Yeah,
gene
Gene
keys.
Keys.
And that is on my YouTube channel. And then our episode is still out on every podcast. So Jeannie, take it away. Let's hear your magic.
Okay, great. So we went over Human Design Foundation, which was the really we I mean I went into some detail, but it's not nearly the detail that you can go into. What I wanted to do with this was to show you the difference and the similarities between you and your daughters, right?
Hmm.
So I have all three of you lined up, which I probably should have thought that through. I didn't realize how many things there would be involved, but it's all good. It's on there. It's amazing how some of the ones connect to Presley and then other ones connect with Paige,
Page.
as
Hmm.
opposed to, is it okay that I say their names?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. Um, so what it goes much deeper, and I'm going to have to show it to explain it. I'm sure we can easily explain it on the podcast, but since I have this here, I will show it to you. Oh, I need sharing.
Got it.
Thank you. Okay. You know me and my PowerPoint. I'm like a
Yes.
PowerPoint junkie.
Way
Okay.
beyond my knowledge.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
had to
always so
do it in
impressed.
school. Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, if that impresses you, then yeah. So it's it's Canva and PowerPoint. But so the variables that okay. So the variables are the top area of the human design chart where it has the arrows and the shapes. Okay. They still refer to the different parts in here, but it actually goes deeper. So this side, when we're talking about your upper left uh, variables or arrows is what they call it, your top left arrow. This actually refers to the way in which we take in, learn, and digest external stimuli from the outside world and provides clues to the correct way to structure routines for our individual needs. Okay. I put this here so that if anybody, I put the arrow top left activity of your brain, design mind, in case anybody wanted to look it up with the proper terms.
Okay.
Um, and then the other side, actually, we'll go down here. So again, remember, this is the design side. This is the side that you don't know about yourself until you grow into it. And so the arrow bottom left is interaction with the environment. This is how you interact. It represents our preferences for physical spaces that we inhabit and how we use our energy to influence our surroundings and make them more physically and mentally comfortable. So it literally pieces out and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper in each area. But it pieces out how you interact. So how you interact with food, how you interact with people, how you interact with the universe, all the different ways for you to best figure that out. Now, the upper right is called awareness. The top right arrow refers to how we learn, assimilate, and recall information and knowledge. And then the bottom is called perspective. It represents how we're designed to view the world and our approach in manifesting our goals and intentions. So this here is an overview of us as people in our social life. There's another aspect that you can take all of this information and put it into business, but this is just individuals since there's just so many variables to do. I had to pick one. So I picked personal. So I just gave this as a reference just for a visual. This is, it goes into, it breaks down what the arrow is, because this is considered the brain or the memory. If the arrow is pointing in the left direction, it's considered active. If the upper left one is pointing left. If the upper left one is pointing right, it means you have a passive brain. Okay, and then same thing for the lower left, it means you're extroverted if it's pointing left. If the arrow is pointing right, it means you're introverted. This is your relationships to the environment, people, or anything else. Then you have your mind and processing, the upper right. If it's pointing to the left, you have a strategic mind. If it's pointing to the right, you have a receptive mind. The bottom right, if it's pointing to the left, you have a focused mind. If it's pointing to the right, you have a peripheral mind. This is your perception or your perspective. So just to give a overall understanding, anything that points left is considered masculine. It's more of a assertive type of energy. Anything that's pointing right, regardless of what corner they're in, is feminine. It's more of the yin than the yang. And so we're moving more toward the yin energy. So when way back, right, in caveman times, if you looked at everybody's arrows, they would all be pointing to the left. Well, is that what you see on there?
I see
I
you
don't know.
pointing to the right, but I
Okay,
understand
to the
that.
left.
The
Yeah,
more, yes,
okay.
the masculine, right.
Right. And so as we've evolved, some of the arrows shifted in the opposite direction. So we have many different potentials. So you could have one going left and one going right on the top, vice versa, both going in one direction. We are moving toward the most evolved at this point would be people who are all pointing
Oh,
to
cool.
the right. We do
Okay.
have people that way, but it is challenging in ways. That's the divine feminine, right? And it is challenging because you're still living in a dominantly male or masculine energy, right? So while it sounds great, if everybody was in that area, we'd be in really good shape.
Have you met
So
anybody personally that's all pointed to
mhm,
the, okay, cool.
yes, and
Okay.
they're very, very sweet, but they are very sensitive. I noticed that their energy is very sensitive, and they some of their different, they have some things that are a little more strategic so that they're not, it kind of has to balance them out, but they're mostly yin, which is amazing to me. But
And
um,
that happens over time in their lifetime, or that's how they were born
it's
with
how
the
they're
red?
born.
Okay, got
Hmm.
it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's how you, I'll go over it as we go. So I pulled up your variables, pages, and Presley's, and I try to keep this type of align, in that order so that we know when we look at it. Um, so you notice, actually, you have the exact same arrow structure that I have.
Oh,
And
cool.
isn't that funny? The two top arrows are pointed inward. And then the two bottom ones are pointing out. So you have the top left is pointing right, the top right is pointing left, the bottom left is pointing left, and the bottom right is pointing right. So that is what I don't want to confuse anybody, but they have uh, abbreviations to explain it, or it's called PSYCH, I think it's wow, drawing a blank. It's like PLL or DRL. There's two different things, but you and I have the exact same one. If you notice though, your daughters, this one, all three of you have an upper right, the upper left is pointing right. And that's the first thing that we're going to go over. But you have the same as Paige here, not the same as Presley here, but they have the same bottom right here, and you don't. I mean, it's just so there's a lot of different variables. And then we go into the tones and colors, which are down here. I'm going to try to keep it as mainstream as I can. So, and
Okay.
so I don't go off into something that is too confusing. I know I probably lost you already. Is it? How are
No,
you
I'm
doing?
getting it. I'm
Okay, good.
understanding. No, I
All right,
love the one before, so that kind of set the stage. Now, Andrew,
good.
I needed to you to explain it like that.
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay, so these are the three. This is yours. This is Paige's, and this is Presley's. And I just blocked out, I highlighted the areas that we're going to be discussing. And so what you notice here, it'll say brain, and then it says passive. All three of you have a passive brain, which I do too. Um, and that is, I believe, more feminine. That is right and right directed. And then your determinations start to change. So you have an indirect, she has a nervous page, and then Presley has alternating. So we're going to go through and I'm going to explain the difference. So the first section, one of the things that I want to explain before we get into it is they, some people change the verbiage. So this says design, but as we go into it, it's going to say something different. There is cognition and determination, but it's going to call design something else. Just to give you an idea. So I apologize if the names don't line up. I'll explain it as we go.
Okay.
So this is digestion, okay? The top left arrow refers to the way in which we take in, learn, and digest external stimuli from the outside world and provides clues to the correct way to structure routines for our individual needs. It even has to do with the way you digest food,
Huh.
okay? So it's very interesting. So because you have a passive brain, I just put the one definition on here since everybody has the same thing. Um, in human design, the passive brain refers to the way of thinking and making decisions that is more receptive and intuitive. Here are the key points simplified. So the passive brain is, you have receptive processing. People with a passive brain absorb information rather than actively seeking it out. They let insights come to them naturally. And I see that in you. I see that in your girls too. I could totally get that. I do that as well. Intuition over analysis. Um, you rely more on gut feelings than logical reasoning when making decisions.
Yep.
Okay. You are non-linear thinking. Your thought processes can be fluid and creative, making connections that aren't always straightforward. Trusting the process, I totally get that on you. They are encouraged to trust that clarity will come over time rather than forcing understanding.
Mhm.
Open to influence. You can be influenced by your surroundings, so it's important to be mindful of the ideas and energies around you. Reflective nature, taking time to think and reflect can lead to deeper insights and understanding. So that's who you are, and that is very much a feminine energy. Whereas, a masculine energy would be somebody who's like, I need to find this out. I need to know what this is. I need. So the decision making implications is waiting for clarity. It's often best for you to wait for clarity to emerge naturally, rather than rushing decisions. That's when you're in your um, shadow, or what they call the not self in human design. If you notice, or your children, as we're older, we've learned a lot of this stuff our own way, but as your children grow, if they start to want to rush something, That's how they can recognize that they're living more in their shadow than their authentic self, right?
Oh, uh-huh.
Um, Embracing uncertainty. And this is a trick for everybody. They should feel comfortable with not having all the answers right away. Being uncertain, especially with them being young and my kids as well, if you can embrace the fact that you don't know exactly why something is happening or if something is going to happen, you will start to be able to develop your intuition because you'll start to recognize the little twinges, the little changes, everything that happens. And then you'll know this is going in this direction or this is not going in the right direction. But no, not knowing at the moment is okay. It doesn't always have to just, you don't have to know everything at the moment. Seeking support, talking with others can help spark thoughts and insights that may not come when they are alone. That's very important because none of us have full definition. And so when you're with other people, it connects those areas, even if it's over the phone. Your
Hmm.
energy is connecting with other people. So whenever in doubt, you don't have to even go into detail about the subject, but have you ever talked to somebody and as you're talking to them about going grocery shopping, you're having epiphanies about something that you were talking about earlier with
Right.
somebody else? That's how the universe works. So if you can talk with people, whether you want to talk about that subject or not is up to you. It's just the energy exchange that is helping you. So in summary, the passive brain is about being open and intuitive in thinking and decision making. It encourages trusting the process, reflecting on experiences, and allowing insights to develop naturally. Understanding this aspect can help individuals navigate their lives more authentically. So as we go, sorry, as we go on, I'll explain what each one has to do with. So this is more of digestion, this one, determination. As far as if you were going to look at food, when you're looking at somebody who, like you, who has an indirect determination, I'll read this first. It means influencing your life and experiences without trying to control everything directly. Instead of forcing outcomes, you align with your unique design, like your energy type and decision making style, and respond to situations as they come. By understanding and accepting who you are, you can create more authentic and fulfilling life, a more bleh, a more authentic and fulfilling life naturally. It's about trusting the process and letting things flow. So for you, you have having an indirect determination means as far as foods, you're not meant to um you may not want to eat depending on how you feel. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
So like with me, mine is cold. So it's out and outright. I really do better when I ingest food that is below body temperature. But with you, it doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. It matters if you are um, feeling, if you're feeling off, like you had a fight with someone, you may decide, I don't want to eat right now. That is natural for you. You need to pay attention to what's swaying you. You could walk into a restaurant and it's a nice restaurant that you normally go to, but you're just feeling off. That's your body saying, no, not now. It's not going to work for you. And so you've got to pay attention to those little,
Hmm.
hints and instincts because yours is indirect. It's not direct. You could genuinely love chocolate cake, a very specific chocolate cake. But if you are struggling with something like with the podcast and you're trying to make a decision on where to go next, you may not want that. That might be something you always want, but then you don't want it. If you force yourself to eat it, your body won't digest it properly.
Oh, wow.
So isn't that crazy?
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Your so your determination is what? What is your word?
oh, mine is cold.
Cold. Oh, it is
Mhm.
cold. Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know that was okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
and I mean it has different there's several of them and they all mean different things as far as ingesting energy as well as ingesting food. I'm sorry, ingesting energy and knowledge as well as ingesting food. So understanding it, like your page has a nervous one. She has a nervous determination. It means making decisions based on her instincts and quick reactions. So people with this trait often feel a sense of urgency and rely on their gut feelings to guide them. It's important for them to pay attention to their physical sensations and emotions, as these can help them know what feels right. Overall, it's about trusting your body and instincts when navigating life. So you're not, so no, none of us should ever be using our heads for ourselves, our own decisions,
Right.
even when digesting food. Yours is more of an emotional type of thing. Hers is more of a physical, right? So she needs to trust her. Yours, you may not be in a place emotionally to sit down and eat the cake and you feel it. She actually will get like uh a sensation in her body that just makes her feel yuck. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
So she needs to pay attention to that. If she's not paying attention to that, so nervous determination, imagine your nerves taking over. That's just one scenario, but your nerves taking over. And when you're trying to eat, you feel like it's just not going down right. That's exactly what would happen to her.
Hmm.
She won't digest the food properly if her body is like acting like it's just not right. Does that make
Okay.
sense? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's with information too. So if she, let's say she's in a scenario where she's in school and she's sitting around a bunch of people who she doesn't really get along with in a class, um, she's not, if it's not feeling right to her in her body, it doesn't matter what the teacher says, she's not absorbing the information. She's being highly distracted.
Huh.
Excuse me. So, and
Like if
because
what if she's not interested in the topic or the subject she's learning? Does that have anything to do with it?
Well, that has to do with her energy, and as long as, well, not, it's hard to say. So, yes, if she's not interested, that's a different kind of area. But even if you're not interested, a lot of times you'll remember things if it's given to you in the right way,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So, if if I am in a cold room, right, the temperature is really low, I'll probably absorb information that I normally wouldn't if I was really hot. I wouldn't be able to take it in, whether I liked it or not.
Wow.
I remember some really stupid things that I don't care about, just because it was the right scenario for me, for my
Huh.
body. So yeah, I know, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so your youngest, Presley, is alternating determination. It means that she makes decisions and approaches life by switching between different methods or ways of thinking instead of sticking to one consistent approach. So she might feel more energized and clear when she changes things up, right? This trait encourages flexibility, allowing them to adapt to their changing needs. By embracing these shifts, they can make better choices and feel more authentic in their lives. So this all depends on, sometimes she may feel better in warmer situations. Sometimes she may feel better in a colder situation. She needs to feel it out, again, still with the feeling, but she needs to decide, do I feel like I'm actually taking this in right now? If she's not taking in information the way she should, then she needs to switch things up. So let's say she's studying in her room and she's by herself and she's got the air conditioner on and it's cool in there, but she keeps getting distracted. Well, that's a sign that she needs to probably go somewhere that's warmer where there's people walking around,
Hmm.
right? Whereas your you know page or you, it doesn't matter the setting, it's about you.
Right.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if Presley was eating in the kitchen and she just wasn't enjoying it, then don't force her. If she wants to take her food to her room and she feels more comfortable there at that time, that's just how her body is telling her she needs to digest it. Or If she's trying to listen to something that you're all listening to and she wants to go off on her own and listen to it, then let her do that because she's absorbing the information better. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that is just determination. Then we have cognition. So you and Paige have touch. So this is cool. You probably know this one. Most people know their cognition. So touch means that some people understand the world best through their sense of touch. They can make decisions more effectively when they can physically interact with things. For these individuals, hands-on experiences help them think clearly and gain insights, especially they rely on their physical sensations to guide their understanding and choices. So this goes along with the last one, but
Hmm.
you're probably somebody who uses your hands when you talk. You probably, when you walk up to somebody, you probably hug them. You're probably a hugger, or you touch someone's arm as you pass them. Or when you go shopping for clothing, you probably touch the clothing, whereas some
Ah,
people just look at it. Yeah. So it's all about, um, it has to feel right to you. The touch, you need to put your hands on it. Whereas um, your other daughter, Presley, has feeling, right? So it's understood through her emotions. It's not the physical touch, it's actually the feelings.
hmm.
She relies on her feelings to make decisions and navigate situations. These individuals are often sensitive to the emotions of others and can pick up on the feelings around them. So she's very intuitive, emotionally intuitive, or also emotionally intelligent. It's important for them to take time to connect with their emotions before making choices, as their feelings guide their understanding and perspective. So it is extremely important, and I'm sure that Presley does not have a problem with this because I've met her and you're her mother. But it is important for people with this, um, well, with every cognition, but to have emotional intelligence. So that means to understand what you're feeling at all times. Okay, so when I was talking to my husband about this yesterday or the day before, and he said we were saying how um, he's in construction. He's in a very masculine business, and when he interacts with other people, he doesn't always know how to say what he wants to say to them. And he said that that made sense, that he wasn't taking into consideration how he was feeling or how the other person was feeling, right? So years ago, when he was not in tune with this kind of stuff, he would get annoyed and just be like, well, he's going to be mad at me for saying this. He used to say something very obnoxious that would be like, if he said, oh, you tried your best. Well, now try my best.
Oh,
And
funny.
oh yeah, and I used to get so upset with him. And now he looks at and he's like, that was so arrogant. I can't believe I used to say that.
Oh,
But now he understands it. So he's like, I approach people differently. So when somebody, is getting something wrong, he's like, I go over and he's a role model. He's a 6'2" as well. He's like, I
okay.
go over and I'm just like, it's okay if it didn't work out this way, but why don't we try it this way? So he's taking into consideration how the other person feels as well as how he feels. Before he was just taking into consideration how he
How
felt,
he felt.
right? And it
Wow.
didn't matter how the other person
Right.
felt. So
Huh.
it's important. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, especially moving into the divine feminine era, is the most important thing because intellectual, your mind being intellectually brilliant or whatever, you can use that for other people, but if you can't engage emotionally with others and understand emotions with others, you are going to be as successful in the new earth as you were in the old.
Got it.
Because more the kids that are being born after 2027 are going to have much more emotional intelligence. They're going to have more senses than we have. So it's definitely going to be more than what we know what to deal with. So the more you can understand or empathize with other people, then the easier your ability to communicate is going to be.
Hmm.
So understanding that is really key. If you don't do that, so what's happening as we shift is we're going to be able to read each other's minds instead of having to talk, and we're going to be able to feel each other's feelings. So some of us already do that, right? Because we're in tune with that. It's what we call being awake, right? Other people feel it, but they don't realize they feel it. They haven't, adjusted to that yet or haven't embraced it. And so the more you do it, the better it'll be. But if you don't and you say something that's like a lie, somebody who is awake is going to immediately know that you're lying because they're going to
Right.
feel your feelings and know so it's going to be a whole different, it's not
Me.
who right? It's how you feel. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. The question I was thinking about Paige and I up there with touch.
Hmm.
I'm a learner that needs to do, I can't listen to a professor, take notes, and then go take the test.
Yep.
Is that part of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it
Because
says
Paige
that
is
in
like
there.
that too.
You
So
have to
that's
do
interesting.
hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, you can't. So it's probably why um, when you talk to people on your podcast, you probably have a much more successful podcast when you've had some type of a interaction with them prior to.
Mm,
So like this, having this type of interaction, you seeing this stuff, this is you hands on, so that
right.
later when you talk about it, it makes sense to you. Whereas with other people, it wouldn't matter. They don't, they wouldn't pick up on that. They would have to actually just hear it, or this there's a little different cognition.
Yeah.
But yes,
Interesting.
so this one's a little busy. So this is so this one's tricky. It's called environment. It in human design, the concept of environment refers to the specific settings and contexts that support an individual's energy and well-being. Each person has a unique environment that enhances their effectiveness and helps them thrive. So you can't always have the best environment, but when you have something very important that you want to do, understanding your best environment will give you the opportunity to make that type of environment available, if that makes
Got it.
sense. So
Mm-hmm.
your color here is 2, it's markets. And Presley's is also markets. But yours is considered internal markets and Presley's is external markets. I'll go over markets first so that you understand. So bringing you in an internal market, your it's helpful. What a market is considered, yes, it could be an actual market, but what it's considered is where there's action going on. There's exchanges of energy happening all over, right?
Okay.
Now, with you, it would be considered internal. That means you bring people to you. Okay. So what you're actually doing, you do decide who comes to you and who you interact with. That's a perfect example of internal markets, right?
Huh.
So, like
Uh-huh.
if you chose to have a bunch of people on a podcast or engage with them at a retreat, that is your choice. You bring people to you, right? Working from home or owning your own business, anywhere that you can be observed. So, this is a lot of their remember I don't like the terminology of a lot of things, but it's um you decide when you want interaction to happen and you decide when and where it will. Whereas um Presley is external, being in the middle of a busy commotion. Actual markets or downtown areas, places that you can observe others. So she takes in, you don't like being bombarded
Right.
with a lot of energy. She takes in all that sensory and she
Mm-hmm.
decides what it just stimulates her to do what she needs to do.
Right.
Does
She
that
loves
make
New
sense?
York. So that's like,
Oh,
isn't that
perfect.
funny? That's what came to my mind. She
Hmm.
loves that. She'd always be like, I
That's
want to live in New York one day.
Oh yeah. And she would thrive. She would absolutely thrive.
Hmm.
Now, Paige actually does, Paige is considered being on the edge of environments. This is mine too, natural shores.
Okay.
Um, so where things are transitory and may change easily. So it's very water focused. So where the water reaches the sand, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it could pull back, it could recede, and show more land. It could be where the water meets the mountain, where there's no sand, and it's actually just like solid foundation. It's anywhere where two things connect. And in our case, water is best if it's around water. So if if it was artificial, she could very easily go to like a location that had a fountain, and she would feel energized there. She and I are more nature. She wants to be near nature. She if she walked around a lake when she got frustrated or when she needed to make decisions, she would be it it would be amazing for her. It
Oh
would.
my gosh, Jeannie, I have to tell you this. The first day she tried crew when she was a freshman, right? They were on land for the first 2 days and she hated it. She's like, Mom, this is so hard. They're on the erg, doing the rowing. And I pick her up on Wednesday. I'll never forget it. And they got to get in the boat. Now, this totally is it. She gets in, Mom, I found my thing. I love it.
Yes, water based,
That was
absolutely.
it. Oh my
Yep,
gosh.
yep. And that's why, yeah, it says
Huh.
she must be near natural water formations, lakes, rivers, beaches, and islands. Prioritize vacations to these places.
Yes.
So if you went on a family vacation, you would want to take into consideration we should go to somewhere that will have water so you can go on a cruise or something, but you would have to stop at port for you and your other daughter, to be able to engage where and when you wanted to. So Presley would be able to walk around in the markets and feel alive, and whereas
Hmm.
you would probably say, well, I'll go to this place because this is where I want to go. I don't want to go walking through the whole town, because it's just who you want to engage with. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
isn't that amazing? How, like, you just take it for granted that, oh, Paige likes the water that day or Presley likes New York. There's so much
Yeah,
more in depth. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. And isn't it? And I wish I would have known this stuff when my kids were younger, so that I could say, oh, okay, so
Yes.
my son is natural shores. Not one time, not one time did I try to get him to do a sport on the water. And I couldn't understand why he didn't want sports. I mean, 4 years old, we put him in soccer, and the boy was put to do to do the uh goalie. And he
Right.
he decided to lay down. He was like, I'm just tired. I'm just gonna. I was like, you can't. You're in the middle of a game. And so that was out. We put him in football, flag football, that was out. We put him in so many different things, but nothing on the water. Is that
Huh.
crazy?
Yeah.
So
I would never have put her on the water if it wasn't for COVID because everything else was shut down. That was the only thing that was available.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. Wow, well, lucky that you did.
I
That's
know.
amazing. What a blessing.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, but to know this early in life, like when they were little,
Mm-hmm.
because Paige every day, like even deciding on a vacation this summer, it
Yeah,
had to be at the beach. It had to be either Hawaii or what, it had to be where the ocean
yeah.
was. And Presley was like, well, we could go to New York. I mean, we just had this conversation.
That's funny.
Isn't that funny?
Mhm.
Huh.
And
That is
so,
so
yeah,
cool.
just take those things into consideration, so that because if you go to just one of them is going to be miserable, right? So you have
Right,
to try to engage in little things. you know
right.
um
Huh.
so environment style, and this is goes a little bit deeper. So you are in an observed environment style, and so is Paige, and Presley is an observer. It's kind of, we just went over it. This, I don't know why it wants to go into more detail, but So, so individuals in this style generally seen as left side and more likely to be active, strategic, and focused. They are described as being here to be focused on things to do. So that's you and Paige. Whereas Presley is generally seen as right side and is more likely to be passive, reflective, and enjoy observing their surroundings. They're described as being here to take in what is going on around you. So,
Hmm.
in that, so a supportive environment, it's crucial for individuals in either style to be in a supportive environment that allows them to thrive. For an observed type, it means being in a space where they can be active and engaged. For observer types, it means having something to observe and take in and being in a relaxing space. So again, if you were on a cruise, you would want whatever big activities that were going on for Presley, so that she could observe people, and you and Paige would want to be observed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
You would decide what you want to do. Yeah, you gonna say something?
Well, I was thinking there's so many similarities between Paige and I, and is that because we're both manifesting generators?
It could be, sure.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of little details in it, but that is, since that's your type, yeah, that's probably, you will probably have more, but there are some where you're not the same.
Okay.
Um, so impact of environment, the environment can have a significant impact on individuals' well-being and overall experience. An environment that is not supportive for an individual's environment style can lead to feeling unhealthy or even disengaged. So, this is important when you're moving somewhere, right? Not just vacation, because vacation is temporary. So, if you were going to move to another location, you would need to take into consideration, who else is in the family. That's what a lot of people don't do. They
Mm-hmm.
might have 4 or 5 children and they don't know all the differences. And so they may say, oh, they seem to do well in school before we moved to Chicago, but then all of a sudden they just, I don't know what happened. Well, they may not do very well in the city, right? And
Right.
so you need to take those types of things into consideration. They may need to be homeschooled, there's different variations, but if you know it, you can help them,
Right.
you
What
know,
about college? Choosing a college, like when because
same.
with your kids,
Mhm.
did you play that into the game?
I did not, because I didn't know this stuff at the time. I didn't.
Oh,
So I just let them pick. And I wish I would have known that because my son is at a college that is in the middle of the state, and he should be at like UNC Wilmington. He would do very well by the shore. Whereas my middle, she's at the right place. She has mountains and she's
okay.
in the mountains. So,
Huh.
and I believe my oldest one too. So the two of them really wanted the mountains, and both of that was not by design. That was just, they follow.
Huh.
So you're supposed to do this stuff naturally, but most of the time we go against our intuition and we try to go with whatever it is that we think our mind is telling us. So if you understand your type, your authority, and your strategy, like I told you in the foundational reading, then this stuff will come natural. But if you don't follow your, energy and your intuition, you tend to get stuck in the shadow side, or what they call the not self side. So
Mm-hmm.
you literally become or interact with the world in your opposite side. And the problem is that you can bounce in and out, but most people don't. Most people tend to either live in their authentic self or live in their shadow or not self. And that is very that becomes very distressful to their body. So their body becomes unhealthy because they're trying to live like other people, right? So especially women, and this is just true, most women tend to go where their husband or boyfriend is, right? We tend to conform to that, or
Right.
it has been in the past. We're a little more agreeable. But if if the person that they're in the relationship with does better, in the mountains and you're supposed to be near the shore, you're literally hurting yourself by staying there. And then the relationship doesn't work very well because you're literally fighting against yourself. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
well, I moved to Montana,
oh,
and it was like I always say I was a fish out of the water, and everyone kept saying, "This is just not Ashley for me. This is just not an Ashley place." And it was just not, it was very toxic. And
yep.
I think of that and then the relationship, but it just was that just makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, because people are like, oh, if we like the same things, not
No.
just that, there's a lot more to it than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
If we could just teach our kids. So, um, so now we're moving to the upper right. And this is the top right is all about refers to how we learn, assimilate, and recall information and knowledge. So it's our sense, personality, motivation, and trajectory. This is on the personality side. It is not the design side, which this side you know about yourself for the most part. So you
Okay.
probably understand that you are a strategic thinker or a strategic person. Your awareness is, let me get this out of the way so I can read this. Awareness variable and is either strategic or receptive. The awareness variable represented by the third arrow, okay, indicated indicates where you are designed to be more strategic. Left facing arrow or receptive right facing arrow in your mental processing. Strategic awareness, left facing, which is you and Page, this suggests that you are designed to be more focused, detail oriented, and active in how you process information. You may naturally gravitate toward organizing, structuring, and strategizing information rather than passively absorbing it. Keynotes, keywords, focus, active, detail oriented, logical, and analytical. Whereas Presley is receptive. This suggests that she is designed to be more open, fluid, less structured in how she processes information. Now, she's a projector. That's really important. Let me finish this. You may be more attuned to the overall feeling and frequency of things rather than focusing on specific details. So her keywords are open, fluid, receptive, intuitive, and less structured. So remember, as a projector, she is here to guide people. So she's not here to make major decisions and changes on her own. She's here to take in other people's energy. Literally, her energy shoots into a person, it projects in. She understands what the person is all about, what they're here for, and she's here to guide them. If she was more strategic, she would go in telling people what she thinks, right? As
Okay.
opposed to, so she has to be more receptive. So that's exactly what she's supposed to do,
Right.
right? She's supposed to just like observe people and make sure that they're, well, oh, these people like to do this because of this, and these people, and so she can guide people in different directions because she's aware, even without people talking, she's picking up their energy and she knows.
Hmm.
She would be a great therapist,
That's what I was going
really.
to ask you. Like, what occupation would that be?
Yeah. So my daughter, that's why she wants to be a therapist. She's a projector, but that is one of the better ones. Any type of if you're talking about like for a company, um like oh my gosh, HR management or anything, project managers, they're very, very successful because they know who would do well in
Oh,
what
right.
area. She can run her own business. She has to be careful because she doesn't have the sacral defined. So she has to go at her own pace. So a consultant type business would probably be best because then she gets to pick and choose who and when she wants to help as opposed to being on a schedule. she's probably not suited for someone else's schedule, right?
Right.
So like
Yeah.
I said with Piper, my daughter, when she decides she needs money, she decides how she's going to do it. We talked about this before. She's got all different ways of making money, and then she's like, "Well, I have enough money to last me for the next 2 weeks, so I'm just going to hang out now." And
Oh, I
she doesn't,
see.
and that's just how projectors are. They're very resourceful.
Huh.
Um, yeah, and it works best, right?
Right.
She just needs to know that. Oh, I don't know why that's in the middle. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Actually, hold on. Let me take that out. Is it? There you go. All right. Um, so let me go back. I don't want to have that sitting in the middle. I can't read anything. Okay. So this is motivation, right? So I did this one specifically like this so that you could understand the opposite, the not self. So you and Presley are innocence. You both are motivated by innocence. Now, what that means is your key to fulfill your own purpose as your is as yourself is to accept and surrender to whatever kind of experience life is going to bring on your path in order to align yourself with your own trajectory and to allow life to take care of you so that you don't have to worry about your own survival anymore. Now, the opposite, the not self, is if you were living in desire, desiring things instead of letting things happen on their own.
Oh, okay.
It would show up as worrying about your own survival drives you to think that following your own desire is the key for you to be the leader of yourself by being in control of your life. So you and Presley are really supposed to let life happen to you, right?
Hmm.
And it's interesting because if you think about it, what you do for a living is much more innocent. So, like, I have desire, mine is desire, and
Oh,
my
okay.
opposite is innocence. So, I am meant to go out and find things and share them with people. And you are like, I'm interested in all this stuff that you guys are doing. I would love to bring you on and have you share this stuff. So you don't go out and pound down doors, but you want to be that medium to
Hmm.
bring this stuff together. It's like the orchestra leader, right?
Hmm.
So, and so everybody else is learning their instrument and you're showing how to make it all flow. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it and
Cool.
it's without motive. You and Presley do it without, an ulterior motive. Um, whereas a lot of other people do not. Paige's motivation is need. So hers is her acute awareness of what others need to know in order to survive in this world, drives you to bring all your mental focus on perfecting your skills toward what can be of benefit to them. And this is your key to empower your own survival too. So you told me what she wanted to be. She wants to be an anchor.
Like a broadcaster. Yeah. Something with
Mhm.
speaking or
Mhm.
TV, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that's her, she has a need to bring information to people,
Oh,
right? So
okay.
that she's living in that. Now, her opposite would be fear. The fear of not being able to survive drives you toward finding a way to provide in your own life those secure things you think you cannot do without, rather than keeping your focus on what you truly need for yourself to be of benefit to others. So she needs to focus on the needs of herself and others in order to make her life path easier when she fears that she's not going to have enough instead of paying attention to what she needs to do. That's where she's going to go wrong. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that that seems like it's common sense to people, but it's not. So the reason I say that is desire for me is going out and I desire to learn these things. I desire to understand them, all that. If I sat back and relied on my innocence, which I have done in the past, because I didn't understand this once I got a grasp of what it really meant. It means if I don't, if people push me back and say, oh, you can't do that, or you can't do that because I'm desiring to do these things, I sit back and wait for the life to happen to me. And I'm not living my life the way I'm supposed to. So I'm just like, okay, well, if you want me to work here, then I'll work here. Oh, if you want me to, help with the bills, I'll help with the bills. You know what I mean? It's like being passive, and I'm not meant to be passive, right? Whereas you're meant to be more passive than I am, but
Right.
in a different way, right? So like it's how we work. If
Huh.
you don't do what you're supposed to do, it ends up working in a whole different way against you. So it's important to understand what yours is. Um, so now the sense is really kind of weird. So when it comes to your sense, it is literally it's hard to explain. So like you have a sense of safety or security, okay? It's what you feel you how do I explain this? The sense you have in order to get from one point of your life to another. Yours is security and safety, so is mine. Okay, it's dealing with the unknown and protecting yourself and others, very oriented to safety and survival, meaning you always make sure that your kids are okay before you decide to go do something for your business. You make sure that your dogs are taken care of, your husband's taken care of. It's all about, safety. Is everybody okay? Okay, then I'll go and do this. Does everybody have their food for the night? You make sure that everything around you is taken care of before you go and do something that you need to do. Whereas Paige has uncertainty. She waits strategically for the inner call to implement it strategically. So she she's not as worried about security for everybody. She's worried about, is this the right timing? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that in her?
Well, you could probably take that as selfish sometimes. Like if she's thinking about herself.
I think it's no, I don't see it as being selfish. I think it's more of, so safety is a very core feeling for okay, how do I explain this better? Parents always have a safety, not always, mostly find themselves having a safety and security thing, but we were born with it. So even before we were parents, we worried about everybody else. Is
Okay.
everybody okay and stuff like that. So outside of family, her thing is she's not going to worry, is everybody else okay in my office, right?
Okay.
Before I make a decision. She lives with uncertainty. So
Uh,
she says, I want to wait until this person is promoted to this position, and then it'll put me in a good position to move up,
got it.
right? So she's thinking strategically, but she's not thinking, is anybody else in this area trying to get this job? You and I would worry about that.
Right.
We'd be like, oh, is everybody, oh, well, you wanted this. Oh, and you have kids and I don't. So you probably should get the promotion.
Right.
That would be us. But she does not care about that. So, yes, in a way, that would be a little selfish, but, it's not something like she wouldn't leave her kids home, and
Right.
not feed them. Like it's just, that's her sense.
Got
They
it.
could have done a better job of explaining. They could have used a different word than sense, because sense is very broad.
Yeah,
So,
very.
yeah. Acceptance is Presley's. Acceptance is the key to transcendence, respect as the foundation for communion. So, this is important. And I don't think she's going to have a problem with this because of who you are and how you raise her. But she's here as a projector to help people from all walks of life. So acceptance is a huge thing to her. She needs to accept people regardless if they have the same values, right? So, because we're all coming from different areas, and acceptance is much more important for her than it would be for Paige. Paige
Okay.
doesn't have to accept people. I mean, everybody wants all of it, but she doesn't have to in order for her to make it to make herself successful, right?
Got it. Hmm.
Whereas, yeah. So what was Presley saying that she was thinking about doing? Is she interested in anything?
She like interior design has kind of been one of her things. It's probably she probably outgrow that by now, but um, she
I don't
talks
know. I
she
mean,
talks about that a lot.
that would make a lot of sense too, because being a projector, she's able to see what things in people's lives would help them in their environment.
Hmm.
So she would be very good at something like that. That's
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, it's not a bad way for her to go. So trajectory, um, this is so you have the innocence, right?
Right.
And you have the left arrow here. This would make you an observer, right? Now you were observed before.
Right.
Now you're considered an observer. That is your trajectory because you're heading in that direction. So you're born observed, but you want to get to being an observer. We want to do, our trajectory is the thing that we need to get to. Uh, how do I say this? So you're coming from observed, you're going to observer. Am I saying that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and the same thing, your other daughter is observer and she's going to go to observe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, because whatever you come into the world with with your strengths is what you're going to go to the total opposite after, um, after 40. You're going to head toward your weakness, toward your destiny, which is going to be the total opposite of what you came in as, which is
Wow.
interesting because your one daughter is considered, this is pretty standard for, what do you call it? Children. She would be considered a novice, right? So, like, I'm considered a follower as a child, but I'm heading to be a leader through my desire. Your daughter is going to be a master because of following the needs, her needs, and other people's needs. So that's how this one plays out. It's just it's literally the trajectory. It's the line, how it's getting from here,
Hmm.
going from the direction. Now there are people who come in, and when they come in, they don't so much come in as a leader. Their trajectory could be follower, but they may be very self-centered or uh, bossy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how the leadership thing would show up in the shadow aspect. So as children, they may have like a lot of things that they want to get done, and their trajectory would be follower, which means that they're meant to literally hit walls when they're younger as wanting what they want when they want it. And they're here not to be a leader, but actually to be somebody who does the job, gets the things done. So like I always helped people when I was younger, and now I'm supposed to lead people. But other people who did a whole bunch of, trying to get things done on their own, they may realize they actually are meant to work for me. I know that sounds terrible. I don't want it to come out the wrong way, but they may want to do the work, but they feel very drained when they have to try to get things together
Mm-hmm.
to make a strategy, right? Everybody, not everybody wants to be a leader. Some people just want to do the job and, not be responsible for the
Right.
strategy. And so, but when they're younger, you wouldn't think that because they're very much like abrasive or very anxious or very, I want things done my way, and everybody thinks they're going to be a leader when they get older, when actually they don't want to be that when they get older. They want to learn, why they don't want to be a leader. So you come in at the total opposite.
Huh.
Am I
But
making sense with that?
yeah, but like I was thinking about Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done anybody like that where
Mm-hmm.
like a chart for someone like that where
Yeah.
he,
Trump's is anti-theist.
okay. Oh, what
So
does that mean?
so he doesn't have beliefs like he he tries to break apart like religion. He tries to explain why religion is not right.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Huh.
so you could be, um, I think it's, and I might be saying it wrong. There's anti-theist and yeah, I think it's anti-theist. That's that. So theist is somebody who's, follows religious beliefs and stuff like that. And an anti-theist is not just somebody who's like um agnostic or, atheist.
Atheist. Uh-huh.
Anti-theist is somebody who deliberately goes out and tries to convince you that it's wrong,
Okay.
right? Somebody who's a atheist is just doesn't believe themselves. They don't care if everybody else believes
Right.
it or not. It's just their belief. An anti-theist literally goes out and tries to
Oh,
and
wow.
he does try to get people to not believe what they believe and get them, you know what I mean, to
Right.
believe what he believes.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
but yeah, that's exactly. Isn't that funny? I
Yeah.
do. I look people up. I want to know certain things about certain people. That one wasn't too long ago. Perspective. So now we're on the bottom right, and perspective it represents how we're designed to view the world and our approach to manifesting our goals and intention. So this is your personality side again, and it's your independent variable. So yours is same as mine. It's peripheral, and your girls are both focused. So your view perspective, it's you look at the big picture. That's what you have. So people with this perspective tend to see the overall situation rather than getting caught up in the details. You're observant. You often prefer to watch and analyze what's happening around you instead of jumping into action right away. You're flexible. You can adapt easily to different situations and environments based on what you observe. Intuitive insights. These individuals often rely on their intuition and can notice subtle cues that help them understand situations better. Creative thinking. They may think in nonlinear ways, connecting issues in unique and innovative manners. So both of your daughters are focused, detail oriented. They pay close attention to specific details and nuances, in-depth analysis. They like to dig deep into topics and understand them thoroughly. They are goal driven. They have clear goals and work hard to achieve them. Direct enhanced engagement. They prefer to be actively involved rather than just observing. Again, this is a different perspective. This is not the other ones. So I know that some of these overlap each other in different ways, but remember that's why we separate them out into the four sections. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking about her digestion, one of them may be observer, but here they may be observed. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So
Uh-huh.
don't get caught up. I wish they would use different words to make it easier, but they use the same words in different areas. Um, and then structured thinking, they think in an organized way, making plans and strategies. So so when they do things, their perspective is to be much more focused, whereas they probably, if they wanted to accomplish something like both of your kids are, I mean, look at your oldest with the pageants. She decided she's going to do it and she focused on it and she did it, right? I mean, and when you went ahead and decided you were going to do the podcast, you literally just jumped into it. You were
Right.
not focused. You were just like, let's do this. Let's just put it out there and see what happens. And you went with your intuition. You observed the stuff that was happening. You were flexible and you shifted the way you planned you did your interviews, and it worked very well for you because of your creative thinking. Your daughters are just like, this is what I want, so this is how I have to go about getting it.
Right. No, it's
And so,
exactly because totally, gosh, so crazy. But when I was reading the focused one, because they're getting ready for their next pageant, And, that's what they do. They love
Hmm.
it. And it's like, that's why they love it so much, because that's
Yep.
what it allows them to do. It brings out that best part of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Huh.
And I'm peripheral like you. I wouldn't enjoy that. I wouldn't want to, when, if I have to memorize something, you can forget it. I have
Right.
to, that's why when we do this, the podcast, you and I interact so well because we're both peripheral. We're just
Okay.
like whatever comes at us, it comes at us and we'll take it from there. Whereas
Right.
other people need structure, like they would
Right.
freak out, you know? And
Oh,
I'm just like,
it's so true. But I get people wanting to come on the podcast, and then we kind of, email back and forth, and they'll say, "Could you please give me the questions?" And I'm like, "I don't have any questions." And then they'll ask me, "What topics do you want to talk about?" I said, "I don't know." Like,
whatever comes
it'll just come. And I happened like, today, this morning. And I said, I like to flow and
up.
I like to use my intuition, and I don't know what's coming through. So,
That's it.
but she's probably the focus type
Yep.
that's asking that question, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, so she's gonna kill me, but Ellen and I had lunch the day before you guys did the podcast, and
Right.
she was like, I asked her if I can have questions, and I said no, not with Ashley, and she said, what? I don't understand. What am I going to talk about? I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, let's just do this, and I sat there and talked to her for a while. She's like, oh, I was like, so you see how we're having this conversation? She's like, yeah. I said, that's what she's gonna do. She's
Oh,
like,
funny.
oh, all right. And I said, you don't know her yet. I was like, but she's just like me. I was like, she's really easy. I said, as you start talking, you'll just have so much in common. And she's like, oh, okay. Uh,
But she's
she's like,
probably focused, right?
yep, she is.
Okay.
Hmm. So
Okay. Oh, I love
yeah.
that. Oh, I'm gonna have such a different that makes me like understand that more. Like,
Hmm.
why do you need
Yeah,
to know the questions? Like, I'm not gonna
right.
give you any questions.
Exactly. So if you give them the topic, you can just tell them, so, think through a conversation that you'd have about your thing, about your business, about what you're doing. And I actually, so what she and I talked about was, I said, you know how they talk when you write a book, you should always have a hook to your book, right?
Right.
And so whatever it is, it's a short synopsis. I said, as long as you have that, then you could take that in any direction.
Right.
I said that's the key thing. Everything after that is just piecing it out however it comes. And
Right.
she's like, oh, okay, I get that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that just comes a little more natural to you and me, where yeah,
Right.
other people have to have their stuff in a row. And I'm just like, no, if I have to have it in a row, like I do here. I mess up because it's like I'm supposed to have this
Right.
structured, and I'm just like, I'm gonna have to just go with whatever. I got things floating around on different slides and
Yeah.
everything.
Funny.
So funny. Okay, so then you have your view, right? And your view is the other. It's um, you have your view perspective, and then you have your view. So your view is what we call wanting. So you have your focus um, is the view centers around desires, cravings, and personal aspirations. Individuals with a wanting perspective, which I have as well, are often in tune with their needs and wants. The characteristics, they may be passionate and driven by their desires, seeking fulfillment and satisfaction in various aspects of life, including relationships, career, and personal interests. Impact. People with this view can be highly motivated and focused on achieving their goals. However, they may also experience frustration if their desires are not met or if they feel unfulfilled. That's
Hmm.
so true, huh?
Yes.
That's me all the
So
way.
true. You know me so well.
And that's also Presley.
Okay.
So she's the same way. But now you have Paige, who's got probability. Um, what is that noise? Oh. Uh, and her focus is about assessing risks and outcomes. Individuals with a probability perspective analyze situations based on likelihood and potential consequences. The characteristics, they tend to be logical and analytical, often weighing pros and cons before making decisions. They may excel in strategic planning and forecasting. Oh my gosh, that's perfect for an anchor. I love that.
Right.
Impact. People with this view can be great problem solvers and decision makers. However, they might become overly cautious or hesitant if they focus too much on
Hmm.
potential risks.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be her. She could overthink
Yes,
if anything. But
for sure.
yeah, so
Definitely.
I wanted to, and that's I forgot my thank you one, but I want to go back for a second to show you the here in this one. So what we were just doing was the perspective. It represents how we're designed to view the world and our approach to maintaining our goals and intentions. So that's different, right, from digesting information and food and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's what I mean by the different you have to take it in context because you'll
Right.
be saying observed and observer in different ways. But I know that
Yeah.
this one is a little confusing, but it goes so much deeper. And the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway, in my opinion, is the emotional intelligence to make sure that you're always paying attention to your emotions and not reacting to something,
Hmm.
because the more people do that, regardless of their structure, the more that they'll be able to advance with the newer humans and the way things come toward us. Because that's going to be huge. If you just say, I want what I want when I want it, you're going to struggle in a lot of areas. You're going more so than ever before, and you're going to have a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
So that's the big
Yeah.
thing.
Lately, like when you say that, lately for me, I did all these retreats and, and I'm trying to like, should I keep, what am I going to like in my head, like needing something to work toward.
Mhm.
And all I have is yours planned out because I feel that it just feels right. And I looked back at
Oh,
myself like 2 months ago when I knew that we were going to do that. And I was thinking, okay, up until October. And I'm like, I don't need to. Like, I just let me just put my hands up in the air and like let it go, like just let it
that's
flow.
beautiful. Yes,
Right?
you're absolutely. That's exactly how I mean, you just you listen to the things, and as they come to you, it's going to happen. I really feel that too. I feel like I started when I stopped trying to have details for what I was going to teach people. Every time I try to get detailed, I go off my path. When I just say, okay, show me what it is that I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be sharing, all of a sudden it just all comes in,
Right.
And so yeah, and not everybody can do that, right? So you have to know what your strategy, or not your strategy, but all your views and your um I don't know these as quickly off the top of my head, like perspectives, environment, and stuff like that. If you know that, then you'll know how you interact. Whereas, and especially like if you know how your husband is or your children, you immediately it shows up in your head. You're like, oh, okay, so they're focused. So I need to give them
Right.
more details about this instead of getting annoyed. I totally have done that. I could have gotten
Oh,
very annoyed with
me
somebody and
too.
just said, why do you always have to have the details? Why do I have to have a plan written out for you? Well, that's how they work.
Right. Oh, and that's so like it's so funny because I just it is so true about even in a relationship before you get married, you need to do this because it's just it would take away so much of the like it's just understanding Richard even like in this stage of
Yep.
our relationship. I don't know his things, but I
Hmm.
know him enough that as we've, grown in our relationship, I'm like, oh yeah, he's doing that. And the girls all say, Mom, doesn't that drive you crazy? And I'm like,
Hmm.
actually, no. Like, that's just dad, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
but it's, you just get to that place. But raising children, even just the whole thing at the beginning with or taking them to college. Like Presley
Yeah.
has such a different take on what she wants to do than Paige did. I'm like, oh, Press, just go. Wouldn't it be fun to be in San Diego and live with your sister and da da? She's like,
I
no.
did the same thing. Yeah, that's where we go wrong because it's like, well, this would just seem so much better and it seems safer and it seems. but we're squashing them
Yeah.
without no. I mean, we're trying to do the right thing. There's nothing wrong with that. As a parent, you want to help them, but I didn't know there were so many things that could be different.
Right.
I didn't know. So yeah, I mean, I definitely pushed my kids in different areas. I'm so glad that they were as stubborn as they are,
Yeah,
because it was,
exactly.
yeah. But there's some
That's
parents that don't care that their kids are stubborn, and then they wonder, why are they struggling so much? No,
right.
I have a client who is a psychiatrist, a therapist, and she said she's deals with people all the time. And when we were talking about human design and stuff, and I was showing her some of the differences because she's got a 6-year-old, she's like, I cannot get him to get on board. And I said, he's somebody who needs options. You can't tell him what to do because he has that open will center. I said, you need to say, you can either hold my hand or I will carry you, but you're not going to wander off on your own. Or,
Oh, yeah.
or we're not going to go or something. I can't remember the options. She said that literally was a huge game changer.
Oh,
And
I
she's a
bet.
therapist. She's like, I do this for a living. She goes, but I didn't know that that's all that was. And then I just had to give him an option. She's like, my mouth dropped. She was like, that was crazy. So
Wow.
if you can do that, yeah, she's like, there's several things that have changed. She's done everybody in her family.
Oh,
She
I
told
bet.
me.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, I just think that, I mean, if it's such a powerful tool, that, I mean, and the depth now, understanding it could go to this level.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I know
Yeah.
it goes, and you have to really take time to breathe it in and then go back to it later, because it is, some things can go over your head. I still go back and read it over and over because I'm just like, okay, this made sense before, but wait a minute. I
Right.
don't really know how it fits in, but it is. I mean, it's phenomenal. So, and it goes deeper than this, but you really have to want to go deeper. This is as deep as the average. This is deeper than the average person goes, but people who are really receptive to human design, they want to know. A lot of them want to know more. They want to understand the way they work more. So
Right.
that's what this is.
What else have you, so you look into like business relationships?
Absolutely. So I do business relationships. I can do one to one, right? So like if you have a partnership and there may be, you just want to know, I'm going to partner up with this person and I want to know, if we're going to have the same uh, ideas of taking the business in this direction, you can tell from this. Or I can do a whole office. You can do 5 people, you can do 16 people. You can see, because you want to have variety, especially in bigger circles, but
Right.
you want to know that not 3/4 of the group is strategic, right?
Right.
Everybody wants to be a leader, and you've got 1/4 that's, the followers, or, people who just want to get the job done. You want to balance it, and know who's really got the strength in what area. And that helps because people will do very well regardless of what it is. So if they know what their energy is, if they
Mhm.
understand all of this, if you try to be a leader when you're supposed to be a follower, you will make less money, even if you're in a management, high management level, because you're fighting against your energy. If you are meant to be a leader but you choose to be a follower because you just, you don't know that you're supposed to be a leader, maybe you grew up and your parents were like, no, you're not smart enough for that or whatever, you're not going to be successful as a follower because you're supposed to be in leadership. And so if
Hmm.
you don't understand that, you don't know what to go for. Just because everybody else in your family, wasn't in management doesn't mean that you're not meant for it, right?
Right.
Or nobody else ever owned their own business, but you feel like it, but you keep squashing it because you think, but you need to understand how your energy works in order to make it happen.
Right.
And
Oh,
that's how you happiest when you
right.
follow your energy. Some people can do it on their own. There's a lot of people that have been successful, but you notice it's only 1 or 2% of the world. right?
Right.
Those are the people who can sense these things for themselves. The rest of, I mean, you and I are not, I wouldn't say that I'm not successful, but I'm not a 1 or 2 percenter, you know,
Right.
but we've gotten to where we are through conditioning, right? I mean,
Right.
you didn't, I mean, there's people that go out and just tear the world up. I mean, Beyonce, she just decided she was going to do something and she just did it. And she was just like, well, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And nobody could tell her different, right? It's because she could feel who she was, but not everybody can do that. You know, most people take into consideration what their friends are saying or what their family thinks or what their background is. And so if you can understand, your nature, you can actually soar.
Right.
So I guess that's
Yeah.
what it is.
I love it. Let me stop recording. Are we done?
Yeah.
We'll just